We're live. Let me see. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if the music is too loud or anything. Let me know. Let me know. We're rating ASMR. No, this is not an ASMR stream, rando. Okay, so can you guys hear me? And like, is the music too loud? Turn down the music more? Okay. Okay. It was a 20 earlier. I put it down to like... Okay, I'm putting it down to 6. Okay. Is that okay? Can you hear my dog Dum Dum now? Dum Dum. You guys know that this is Dum Dum's time to scream, right? This hour. Eskimono, thank you. Thank you for the $4.99. Appreciate it. It could be quieter. Okay, I already, you know, there's a latency on things, so it could take a minute. Oh, you guys can talk. No worries.
Oh, okay. Hello. Hi, everyone.
Okay, so, okay, everything good now? Okay, I think everything is good. I can hear the dog. I told you guys, you can hear those in my background. I've been streaming for so long. Okay, so welcome everyone to my special stream. So as I've mentioned before, as a narrator, I'm really grateful to all the authors, all the writers out there, because I cannot write even to say, even if it's to save my life. So without them, I do not have content to put out there. So I decided one day that, hey, how about I have a stream that features writers and authors instead, rather than the narrators. So that's why I have these two special guests today. So for the first one, I think you already know him. Before he was Paul Stefani on like the streams and on like premieres, but now he goes by Cryptic Wander.
Hi there.
Yes. Can you hear him? Can you say something again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not very good at this, so I'll do my best.
It's alright, you're fine. And the other one is a very special guest. So he's an author of the best-selling Neverglade series. So he already has a book out in the market. So, and he's also the okay, I'm sorry. The dog is just, my dad is trying to get my dog now.
He actually has 4 books out now.
He has 4 books, yes. I'm actually gonna link things out. Everything that I say right now, guys, the links are in the description of the stream, so you can check them out. So we have the author of the best-selling Neverglade series, and he also is a writer on the r/no sleep subreddit, and I think all of the people here know that subreddit because, of course, we're the horror community. And he is a member of the Grub Street writing community in Boston and is currently attending the fiction MFA program at Lesley University. So everybody, we have David Farrow. It's his first time here on my stream. So yeah, try to get to know him a lot today. We're going to ask them a lot of questions today. So we have Cryptic Wander and David Farrow. So David, can you like say something?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me here, MCT. I'm really happy to be here and to meet you all.
Okay, great. So, guys, just to make sure, are both of their volumes okay? Can you hear both of them clearly?
I am.
Can you hear both of them clearly? Everything good? So you have your wife cheering for you? It's very sweet.
Yeah, she's out there somewhere. I kicked her and my son out of the house. So
That is so good. Okay. Before we proceed, I just want to say hi to everyone on the chat. So let's go back. We have hi Laura, hi 42. Let's see who else is here. Hi Dark Hero. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right because there's like a couple of X's, but Dark Hero. Hi Lone Wolf, my favorite pup. And we have who else here? Scroll down. Hi Dark Horse Tales. Hi Christina Bell. Welcome. Rando. Welcome Rando. And we have other people, amazing people. We have Ghost Ravioli. Welcome. And we have Lynn LeBlanc. Derringer. Hi Derringer. We also have Eskimono. We have Lori, the ever beautiful Lori.
my wife, Lori Techmeyer.
Yes, that's actually Cryptic Wander's wife. Very supportive. It's really good.
Love you.
See, they're very sweet. I'm jealous. And we have just Jasper. Welcome. A clock strikes 3. Nice to see you. Okay, so I think I've covered everybody. So okay, that's good. Oh, we have Sarah Green. Welcome, Sarah Green. Okay,
A lot of people here I both recognize and are new to me, so that's really good.
Yeah, same here. I know a couple of them, but there's also like really new people here, and I'm guessing that they are Neverglades fans or David Farrow's fans, right?
Yeah, there's definitely a few names I recognize. Thank you for showing up, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Okay, that's good. So, I think I'm talking a lot. Now let's go to our focus, guys. Our guest. Okay, so I think I've mentioned a little bit about them at the beginning, but of course it's different if they're the ones like talking about themselves. You know, giving us information about themselves, what they do and what not. So yeah, both of you, like, tell us about yourself.
Hey, Courtney.
Okay, who wants to go first? David, you want to go first?
All right, sure.
Okay.
So, yep, I'm David Farrow. I am from Franklin, Massachusetts, where I have grown up pretty much all my life. As MCT said, I am the author of the Neverglades series, which started out on No Sleep, and you may have heard of it through Mr. Creepypasta's narrations. He narrated the first volume and is about halfway through volume 2 right now. I've also written a lot more than just what Mr. Creepypasta has narrated. Since then, I have a few books that are available on Amazon. Neverglades Volume 1, 2, and 3, and a spin-off collection called Fleshy Sensoria and Other Stories. I've also written a lot for No Sleep itself. Some things you might have heard of, some things you probably haven't. I have a few like fake accounts that I've posted some series under that didn't really get a lot of traction, but they're fun hidden gems if you dig them up. And as MCT mentioned, I'm getting my Masters of Fine Arts at Lesley University. I'm currently studying fiction there right now.
That's really good. So if you listened well to all the things that he mentioned, he is an amazing writer and he already published his books and his work was even noticed by Mr. Creepypasta. And we guys know, like narrators, we know who that guy is, right? So that's a big thing. So
He's
how
a pretty
about
cool dude.
Cryptic? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in Biddeford, Maine, and I moved here to Nebraska about 7 years ago. Kind of an unrefined writer. My imagination's always been pretty crazy, and I've never really written professionally, but it's always kind of been in and out of my life. So, you know, about 4 years ago when the narrating thing got really big, I decided, what the heck, I'll try it. Mr. Creepypasta actually narrated my first story, and it was terrible. Terribly written. He wasn't bad.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, I think a couple of you guys know that I've read his stories. I think I've read how many? Narrated 4 to 5 of his stories before, and they are all very well written. So yeah, I appreciate your imagination. Those are like really good. And by the way, guys, in the chat, I have a couple of questions here on my end, but please feel free to throw any questions for both of them. Okay, if you have anything you want to ask them, but make sure that they are in all caps. because the chat can go wild sometimes and I cannot see everything. So make sure that your questions are in all caps. Okay? It's like I'm waiting for someone to answer. It's just me. And we have Courtney. Welcome, Courtney. I see you on the chat.
I think.
That's good. Okay, so again, ask questions in all caps. Okay. So both of you, I know that you are both amazing writers, published authors, but if you don't mind me asking, when did you realize that you wanted to write? Like, hey, I have some ideas and I want to put it down into writing, something like that.
Do you want to go first?
Oh,
Sorry,
no,
I
I'll
have
just let you-
It is alright.
Go for it, sir.
Sure. So I have been writing pretty much as long as I can remember, honestly. I think when I was in first grade, my teacher did a little writing workshop with us where she encouraged us to tell stories and illustrate what we had written. And it was just one of those things that really clicked with me, even from that young an age. And I would devour like any sort of books I could find. I was really into Goosebumps, which I'm sure a lot of you who are in the horror field know what Goosebumps are, and you probably grew up on those too. My first attempts at writing anything were imitating R.L. Stein's style, so I still have a bunch of bound little like 30-page stories that I wrote when I was in elementary school that are just in my closet somewhere, and I illustrated the covers, and like they all have fun fonts and chapter headings and things like that. So it was a nice little like way to get the ball rolling, I guess. And I knew even then like I wanted to be published someday. It was like the goal. And I am here now, which is crazy. Like I there's a whole lot has happened between now and then. But that was really what got me going was getting the imitating a style that I really enjoyed, imitating an author that I really liked when I was getting started, and then finding my own voice as time went on.
Nice. That I am speechless. Did you just say first grade?
I did indeed, yes.
That is freaking amazing. I am so sorry. I am really amazed because I've always wanted to write things because I have lots of experiences and ideas just running around in my head. But I cannot write it. I am 27 and I sit down and I try to write, but I cannot for the life of me. And that is just freaking amazing.
I mean, I've had a lot of time to practice.
I wish I had the time, but I have to narrate and stuff. How about you, Cryptic?
Well, my story's kind of similar, back in first and second grade, I was winning, awards for the class and stuff for writing stories, and even when I was like 4 or 5, and my dad, I remember he got a word processor, and I wanted to, write stories because he was writing stories, so I'd tell him my story and he'd be typing it in for me, and it all started from a very young age.
That is really good. So I think it was already destined that you guys are going to be writers. That's really good. Oh, I see a lot of questions on here now. Let's see, look at the chat first. 42, why would you ask why is the sky blue? This is not science class. I will fold you. Okay, so we have Ghost Ravioli cheering on David. You are doing amazing, David. Ghost Ravioli says.
Thank you, Ghost Ravioli.
42 has a question. 42 says, what do you think is your greatest weakness in writing? Okay, so if these are questions that are just randomly popping in the chat, so if you need more time to think about it, definitely do so.
Oh, I have an answer to that. It's like a writing process thing, I guess, more than it is like what ends up finally on the page. But I edit as I go. I'm a very nitpicky perfectionist when it comes to my writing, so it takes me a while to finish a story because I can't move on to the next paragraph until I've made the paragraph before it as perfect as possible. And that's not a great way of doing things, because ideally you want to just try to write all the way through. You want to get as much as you can down, and then for your second draft, that's where you go through and you refine things, you clean it up, right? You make it as polished as you possibly can. And if you do it the way that I do, like you end up with a first draft that maybe is a little tighter all around, but it's stressful as a process and not always the best way to do it.
Yes, I I totally get what you're trying to say, because I haven't really written anything, but I do write some scripts for, like, that's not a story, but scripts for let's say top 10 stories, like top 10 murders, or, like, lists on my channel. And I don't move to the next part unless I think like the first part is like perfect, like there's no errors, and it makes things really long and hard, and I don't want to finish it anymore because I just get tired.
I feel that, yeah.
How about
I think
you?
the hardest part I have. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I
It's
think the
fine.
hardest part. I have a habit of doing that. I think the hardest part of writing for me is, like, I'll have a really great idea, and, I'm all focused on that idea, but the framework around that, that's not the idea, so it's harder to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
So I just find it difficult to, I don't know,
Yeah,
write the
right.
setting around that and make it as good as the idea. If that makes sense.
It does. It does make sense. I think I just haven't tried that. Because, of course, I haven't really written a story. I should really take classes in this. But you've mentioned before, Cryptic, that David is your mentor when it comes to writing, right?
Well, I believe I had his first class with him. He's in
That's
college
true.
to be a writing instructor, I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
he needed the practice, and I needed the work. So
Which
Yeah,
is...
Cryptic approached me because he had read the Neverglade stories, and he was wondering if he could tap my brain and learn how to get some of those sweet writing tips that I'm learning in grad school. So I was really happy. I was able to do a 10-week program with him. We just did some classes. We talked about various craft elements, like, setting character, all the good stuff, and then did a little workshop at the end where we went over one of his stories a couple times and did some really thorough comments and feedback on it. And it was a great experience. I think, Cryptic, you really enjoyed it, right?
yeah, no, I got a ton of good stuff out of that. If you were to read my stories from 3 years ago compared to, the end of Infinity, like, you'd notice the stark difference between that.
That's really good to hear. But what about these classes? Are you still giving out classes or workshops, David?
I am actually. It's all completely like freelance, independent stuff. So I think a couple of my students are actually here in the chat right now. So shout out to Sarah and Sierra. You know who you are. I think they are both here tonight. But yeah, so I'm doing a similar thing like I did with Cryptic, where I'm doing workshops and classes and structuring things a little differently for like a group of two as opposed to just one person. So we're actually starting our first workshop next week where we're going to have a group discussion about each other's manuscripts. And we're going to have like a whole way of doing that, like a whole procedure where we make sure everyone has a chance to speak. And so the writer can guide the discussion as well and make sure that they're getting the feedback that they need for their next draft. I've been studying a lot of like the best ways to teach a workshop setting, and there's a lot of ways that people have classically done workshops that I feel like are a little outdated, and we need to start thinking about like new ways of doing things. So I'm looking forward to trying out these new techniques with the students I've got now, and other students who come down the line. I'm always looking to refine and make the process even better.
That's okay. That's really awesome. Okay, you do all these classes online, right? So if somebody want, like, in the chat, because I see a couple of writers here, like my friends, who like write stuff, and they want to join this, like, say, workshop that you give. How can they reach you for it? Just through social media, and you'll just give them instructions and whatnot?
Yeah, so really any way that you can contact me is fine. I have a website with my author email, which is just author@davidfarrowwrites.com. So you can send me like official inquiries to that email address, or if you just add me on any of my social media pages and send me a message that way, happy to discuss that sort of thing.
Okay, perfect. That's
Yeah,
good
and
to
I
hear.
actually first talked Sorry.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
actually first talked to him on Facebook, his profile on there. So
Yeah, I check pretty
not
much
too
all
hard
my
to
social media all the time, so any one of those is a good way of reaching me.
Okay, that's good. And by the way, so to those who are here in the chat, especially like the narrators or also into writing and stuff, if you want to reach David Farrow, to join his classes, improve your writing and whatnot, all of his links are in the description of the stream. The website that he mentioned, his Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, and he even has merch if you are interested in his merch. And if you want to support him on Ko-fi, buy him a coffee or something, his link is also there. And for the narrators here who are looking for some stories to narrate, Cryptic Wander's Reddit page is also under the description of this stream. So if you go onto it, he has a couple of stories there. Just make sure to ask permission. Guys, the rule. Ask permission. Send him a message there, or you can reach him on Discord. He has a Discord now too. Okay. So I hope everything is clear, guys, on how to reach both of these amazing writers. Okay, so let's.
Oh, and I will add real quick, we do have a Neverglades Discord that you guys are definitely welcome to join. The link isn't public just to make sure that we don't get spammed. But if you are interested in joining, send me a message and I'll give you the private link.
Yes, so I'm not gonna put the link in, guys, just in case, because guys, what happens on Discord sometimes. And by the way, just a little segue. I always say this when I'm streaming. If ever the stream cuts off, guys, just give it a minute or two and I will be right back. Because it's very seldom, but it happens. My laptop sometimes cuts me off from my internet and it cuts the stream off. Okay, so don't worry, we will be right back if that happens. Okay? Now, another question from 42. Ooh, 42 throwing out question out there. What do you wish you can improve?
I'll always let you go first, David.
Okay,
Give me the top one. Okay. Improve. I mean, I feel like every writer is on a journey and we're never at the end of that journey, So, I guess for me right now, what am I focused on improving the most? I think trying to be better with conciseness and brevity is what I want to work on. I tend to overwrite when I'm doing my first drafts, so a lot of stuff ends up in the story that maybe doesn't need to be there. So I think just trying to instinctively use fewer words in general is just something that is beneficial to learn for any sort of writing, but I think for short fiction especially, it's extra important. Especially when you start looking at like literary journals and things like that, where they're like, oh, you need to meet a certain word count. And if you just let yourself ramble, you're gonna go way over that word count. So it's good. It's a good habit to try to get into to just write as concisely as you can. Omit needless words. I think is one of those classic bits of advice that they give you. And yeah, that's something that I would like to definitely improve on personally.
That's a really good point. By the way, how about you, Cryptic? What did I say, by the way?
It's probably the opposite. Like I said, I'm not quite as refined as he is, so I tend to just kind of throw it all out there, and when I make it to the finish line, that's when I feel satisfied, so I'll go through and, make a couple drafts improving it, but I always feel like I could do better, so
I see.
I feel like I need to work on that more.
I see. I think that's all right. I think, different writers, different authors have their, different styles and different things they want to improve on. Which is nice. I think it's just nice that you recognize, which parts you're not that strong on. Because once you recognize those, there's always, a channel that you can improve. I think that's the first step. Recognizing where you're weak so you can improve. Why is the question? Why is the question here? When is my birthday, Lone Wolf? This is so random. My birthday is in August. We already did the stream for that. Are you late? It is alright. Okay, let's say hi to the others first. Hi, Floofy. Fluffy. Fluffy? Is it Fluffy or Fluffy Gecko? Welcome, Aaron Hasaki. Tina Christine, welcome. She says, I made it. Hey, Dave. We have Abigail. We have Moschino. Hello, Father. I have lots of fathers online. Okay, so I think... Oh, hi, Sheridan. Welcome. David is an amazing teacher, Sarah Green says. See, that's really nice.
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
Very true.
So guys, if you see, like both of you, if you see anything in the chat that you want to acknowledge, then definitely do so. I do not mind.
I have a hard time concentrating on more than one thing, so...
It is alright. Same.
I don't address something.
Same. To be honest, I think my normal chat is like, why is MCT so formal right now? Because usually, again, it's just giggles, talking about rice, Kit Kats, food. And now I'm being very formal, and they're like, what is happening? Oh, Laura has a
It's always awkward when I'm around.
Sorry. Laura, what do both of you think are the pros of self-publishing versus traditional publishing? So I think this is more of David's.
Yeah, I don't have any experience in that.
Sure. So the pros of self-publishing, I mean, for me, it was the right move, I think, because I had already built up an audience on Reddit and from Mr. Creepypasta's narrations, so I knew I was going to have people who would buy my book if I published it. And that was enough of an incentive for me to actually go through with the process. A lot of people self-publish without that sort of background to begin with, and that's totally fine. I think that you can still do a good marketing push and still get your name out there, but you are starting at a disadvantage if you do it that way. So one of the advantages of traditionally publishing is that you'll have someone in like a PR team who will be helping to market your book and push it for you. Whereas if you're self-publishing, you have to do all that on your own. However, self-publishing gives you a lot more control over how much exposure you do get your projects. And it also gives you more control over like release dates and covers and the actual putting together of the book. So we when I was putting together Neverglades, I hired a professional cover designer and a professional illustrator. Actually, the image that you can see on the live stream right now of my friend the Inspector there, that was done by the artist Chris Bodley, who has illustrated all three of the Neverglades volumes to this point. So I found these people on various freelance sites. I hired them to do these like professional covers and illustrations, and then I had a final product that looked very professional, even though I hadn't gone through like a traditional publishing method. And then once I had that, I was able to release the book in a matter of days. Once everything is ready to go, Amazon will just upload it, and then within like 2 or 3 days, your book is live in the store for people to buy. So it's a lot of the process has to be done by you, but you have control over what gets done, and it gets done fast. Traditional publishing, I mean, the benefits of that is that you do have like a professional editor who's looking over your work, and you don't have to do all of that yourself. You have someone who can, or you have like a whole team really who's backing your book and helping you get it out there, and so you don't have to do as much on your own. But the caveat is you lose some control that way. Some people may ask you to change the title of your book. You may not get the chance to have any say over what the cover of your book looks like, so it may not match what you had in your head. So there's a lot of things where like the creative control can get taken away from you, and also it does take longer to get a traditional book published. It is usually a few years at minimum to do so after it gets approved in the first place. And even just looking for an agent and submitting to publications is a long process on its own. So if you have an audience already online and you want to just go for it, and you're confident that what you're putting together is, you know, professional work that people will look at and be like, wow, they actually put a lot of work into this, and it's, you know, well edited, well designed, etc., then I'd say go for it. Self-publishing is 100% something that you can do and you probably should pursue. But if you aren't as confident in your editing, you want to make sure you have more people to help you with the process, then I would say go the traditional route.
I see. Yeah, those are actually pretty correct. And a weird fact that I have is that though I cannot write, I worked for a publishing company before. So all the points that David actually mentioned are correct. So it's self-publishing, you have the control for it. Okay, so like everything from the editing, the cover, the illustrations that you have in your book, the release and publishing and whatnot, the money that you can get from your books, you have control on that too, which is not the same with traditional publishing. Yes.
Yep.
There's a specific term for it. It's been years, so I don't really remember. Royalties. That's right, royalties. The royalties that you get from your book. And also the marketing. But the thing is, for self-publishing, you have to do it all by yourself, which is good. You have control. But if you're too busy, it might not work with your schedule or whatnot, and it's a little bit of more work. But it's a really good way to publish your book. For traditional, you have this whole team doing everything for you. All you have to do there is to exist with your writing. And another good thing about traditional publishing is the marketing is really strong. Like they really push for your book out there. But then you have, again, less control. It might not be what you want. It's not like, how you envision it, the illustrations and whatnot. The release date, it would take forever. And it's so hard to get approved by traditional publishing companies too. So
I will say something I did learn recently in grad school is that, when people think of traditional publishing, they usually think of like the big publishing houses like Simon & Schuster, HarperCollins, like the big names, right? And if they think you have to get published at one of the big names. But reality is that there's still a lot of very small presses, usually associated with colleges and universities, that are still professional traditional publishers, and you can still publish with them. And sometimes they don't even require an agent to query with them. You can just send your work directly in some cases. And if they do pick you up at these smaller presses, they are even more of your advocate than a bigger press would be. So they're more likely to, have more say in what the cover looks like, and designs and little decisions like that maybe you wouldn't get the chance to do at a big 5 press.
I see. That I did not know, because I was in marketing, so I was in sales. So I was the one calling authors and letting them know that, hey, you can publish with our little company, blah blah blah. I did not think about that. If you say traditional publishing, it's always like the big ones that your mind goes to directly. Oh, we have
big one, but yeah.
Welcome, Courtney.
I know absolutely.
Just go ahead. I'm sorry, Cryptic.
I know absolutely nothing about this. I'm sort of start from the ground up kind of guy, so basically I'm trying to work on my writing. I don't charge for anything for narrations and stuff. I may in the future, but for now it's just practice and trying to get a good fan base going. And eventually, once I finish the Red Hill series, I'll rewrite it into one master book, and I'm gonna hopefully have David's help in publishing that.
And that's so good
to
hear.
Yeah, I got your back.
That's
exciting.
I appreciate that. That's really exciting. So yeah, I think you can. I think it's alright that you don't have one out yet, but there is a vision that once I finish this, I'm gonna rewrite it, make it in one book, publish it, and that's
it's really a definite goal. And I think one of the mistakes a lot of people make when they decide to start writing, wanting to be an author and stuff, is they have visions of grandeur and fame and fortune, and really that's almost like hitting the lottery. You really got to do it because you enjoy it, and anything else is just gravy.
Absolutely, definitely echo that.
Okay, let me look at the chat because I think I have missed so much. Okay, let us see the chat here. I am so sorry, chat. They're just talking about really interesting things, and we're also learning at the same time that they're answering questions. So that's why I kind of get lost sometimes and just listen. Hi, Courtney. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. We have seven Nightfall stories. Welcome. Optimistic avocado. Oh, I like this avocado. It's optimistic. I just got here. Hi, welcome. We have. Okay, I think I know. This is a writer too, but I don't know how to read the name. Brittleby.
That's how I say it.
Okay, Brittleby. And we have.
I just call her Brit.
Brit. Okay, hi Brit. Welcome. And we have Cecily. We have lots of writers here, which is very cool. Okay,
there are a lot of writers from the writer group that I'm part of, so it's good to have that support.
That's good. By the way,
they're amazing. I love writers groups.
Right, they're really cool. They're a really cool group of people. I myself am a fan of like writers because I cannot. I repeat this so many times because that's just how amazed I am with people who write. Like, how do you come up with these things? How do you put it all together? It's just amazing.
Anyone that says it's easy is lying.
It is not easy. That is why I am always amazed, like, how do these people do it? I see so many questions here. I am so sorry, guys. Wait, let me... So, let's see. I think A Clock Strikes 3 has a question. What scares you most? Okay, trying to dig into your fears, guys. What scares you most?
You want to go first, Cryptic?
Oh, what the heck. Honestly, my dreams do. Ever since I was really young, I've had terrible, vivid nightmares and sleep paralysis about once or twice, a week, a month. It varies. And like my last one, I had a dream that I was pulling out these little worm parasites out of my hand, and as I was pulling them out, I could see these giant holes that they were leaving, and it was just awful.
There's a story in there.
Yeah. Dreams are hard to write though, because dream logic.
Absolutely.
Holes.
How about you, David?
A lot of holes with things inside it is one of my greatest fear, and you just described it, and I'm like,
There's a word for that.
Trypophobia?
That's the one. Yep.
Yeah. Oh god, it messes me up. Okay, how about you, David?
I mean, I have lots of like typical sort of fears. Like I hate heights, knives keep me far away from them. Things like that. I don't like bees either. But if we're getting to be like a little bit more real here, I think like cessation of existence freaks me out. And what I mean by that is like if someone gets like disintegrated in a movie or something and there's nothing left of their body, that just gives me the willies. Like because when you die, you at least leave behind a body, right? You leave behind something. But if there's like no sign that you ever existed, that just creeps me out in a way I can't quite describe. You know what I mean?
I've never
so
heard
things
of
like
that.
Yeah, things like body horror, where like someone's body is being manipulated against their will or transformed against their will, like just being not safe in the only vessel you have, right, and going through life. So that stuff freaks me out a lot, and I don't tend to write that sort of stuff because it puts me in a weird headspace. But it does like freak me out the most if I'm watching it in a movie or seeing it in a story or something.
I've recently heard about that, like body horror. I have a narrator friend who just mentioned that some time ago, and he's really into it. So that's like the type of stories that he narrates on his channel, and it messes me up because it is really scary. Like you absolutely have no control over as you mentioned, the only vessel that you should feel safe in. Oh, those are things that are terrifying. Yeah, and to answer the question too, I am afraid of holes, like a lot of holes together, as I mentioned earlier, that has something inside it. And I am also afraid of dolls and mascots, because I feel like, yeah, dolls and mascots. Because in my head, they're like a vessel that is like, of course, mascot. There's a person inside, but as I see it, it's a body that is hollow inside. So anything can just like take over. You know, like go inside, control the body and whatever. So
You're actually describing a Neverglade story right now, MCT.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I haven't read it because
Nightmare Walking, it's called.
see, my fear is in your book. Okay, so 42. I will give you Cryptic Wonders Discord after the stream because I am bad at multitasking and I am kind of nervous right now.
Do it from my phone, but I can't figure it out.
It's all right. I'll give it to 42 later. We have
Lucky
another
that
question.
I have read it. I'm very old school. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all right. Oh, okay. So, guys, you have questions, but I also have questions, so I'm gonna ask them too. So, Post the Funny goes by Cryptic Wonder, and I'm not sure what your real name is, but you go by David Farrow. How did you come up or choose your pen name?
Good question.
Sure.
Like, there are lots of other names that you could, choose, but why did you choose David Farrow? Why are you Cryptic Wonder?
I can go first. So my real name is mostly my pen name. It's David F. something. But I decided, like, if I was going to be on a bookshelf, for instance, I'd want to be one of the first names you saw when you got to the F section of the bookshelf. And Farrow is alphabetically before my real last name. So you would see my book first if you were just casually browsing, and if you see a book first, you're more likely to pick that book up, right? So it's a little psychological thing, but that's one of the reasons why. And as for why I went with Farrow in particular, this is kind of a self-indulgent thing, but Farrow phonetically is the same as like the Egyptian king, right? You know, Pharaoh. And Stephen King is one of my favorite authors and literary inspirations. So Egyptian king, Stephen King, Farrow, David Farrow, like it's all just part of like a little like reference, I guess, a little homage. Not that I'm trying to liken myself to Stephen King of all people, but it's more just like a playful way of acknowledging him as my inspiration.
That's actually really cool. I've never thought about that. Especially the first thing, like your last name, so that it, like, hey, it's the first thing they see, they're gonna pick it up. I would never think about that. That's really smart.
Actually, very smart. Mine's probably less, I don't know, intelligent, but I mean, I've always been a fan of the Crypt Keeper. You know, he was kind of my idol growing up. I actually have him tattooed on my chest. But I couldn't come up with anything good with it. So then I started thinking of the word cryptic, and I kind of like that because it's strange and puzzling, and it kind of fit me like a glove. And the wander part's just kind of for my never-ending pursuit of understanding the world. Yeah, put them together, it works.
It does. It's really nice. Cryptic Wonder. I like it.
Yeah, it's
So,
a really nice to it.
Okay, so Erin is sad because I haven't seen her story. Let me see. Erin, your question is, which story do you most hate? What do you mean, like story they wrote or read?
I'm guessing that we wrote.
We wrote, I guess. Okay. So, okay, which story that you've written that you weren't really happy with it? Probably not, Kate. Not really happy with the result or like the whole thing.
Definitely my first story that I got narrated by Mr. Creepypasta. I mean, it was sort of just slap it on the page, see if it catches, and he actually read it, and it was just cringe the entire time listening. It was such a bad story.
I don't think it's that bad if Mr. Creepypasta read it,
I'll have to send it to you after.
Okay, I will check it out. How about you, David? Have you written anything you didn't like?
The secret is that every author writes a lot of stuff that they don't like, but they won't share that with you necessarily. No, I mean, in terms of stuff that I've released on No Sleep, There was a series. I use the word series loosely. It was vaguely themed. It was a series of stories that was based around the months of the year. I called it the cruelest months after like the line from Wastelands by T.S. Eliot. But it was just like, oh, this story takes place in January, and so this must be like a New Year's story, or this is a story in February, it must be a Valentine's Day story, etc. And it was my first time just like writing stories for No Sleep that weren't really Neverglades stories. They were just like short little things that I was kind of churning out and posting on No Sleep real quickly. And some of them were just like not great. I look back at them now and I'm like, I literally just wrote this for upvotes, and that's a shame because I should have actually enjoyed the process of the story more. There's one, I won't even tell you what the plot is, but the title was Help, I'm Stuck in 2018, and I will never write anything probably as cringe as that.
Have you... Okay.
Not that bad.
I don't think it's gonna be that bad. I think you guys are amazing. Probably not just to your own taste. I think other people liked it. I'm not sure because I haven't like really read it. I want to read your things now. I will look at your stories after this because I need more stories to like read on my channel. And by the way, guys, for those who are new on my chat, it's awesome to see all of you. Just to let you know that I do have background noise, which are my dogs, because it's 8 a.m. from where I'm at, and everybody's just awake. So you could either hear my dogs or my chicken Jeffrey. He's become famous now because the people on my stream always hear my chicken. So yeah, so I apologize for that. Okay,
That's fine. My dog came running up to me now too.
Hello, dog. I like dogs. I like dogs very much. Okay, let's see. There's so many questions on the chat. I am so sorry, guys. Let me see.
There's not that many.
I'm really kind of late. Okay, Rando, would you ever consider killing the main character in any of your stories?
Is that a joke?
Well, I don't know. I've read Cryptic Wonder's story yesterday, Less Than Nothing, and I think the main character just died.
I think there's a few that I did that in.
I think the main character just got killed by the demon. So Cryptic, you can answer first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, there's a couple of stories. I don't know. I think the happy ending trope is, generally expected and overused. So I try to every story I write, I try to do something different with it, And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I'll kill off a character if it feels like it's needed.
And I actually enjoy stories like that, weirdly, like they're not supposed to be happy. Kill them all.
They lost their minds in the end of infinity.
Right,
Jasper in the comments just said, "You know what you did, David." To which I say, anyone in here who's read Neverglades knows exactly why I laughed at this question. Because no one is safe in Neverglades. No one is safe.
I like that. Oh, I like stories like that because I've watched a couple of movies or like anime, and there's always this main character armor, the plot armor. Like you're the main character, nothing bad is gonna happen to you. So you already know that at the end of the story, the main character is gonna be there, happy and whatnot, enjoying life, moving on from the tragedy. Blah blah blah. So I prefer stories that I cannot guess. Like, is this guy gonna die, or what's gonna happen?
Well, it's like not to move the conversation from horror, but I play and run D&D occasionally. Not so much these days, but when I run a game, nobody's safe. Like, I give them slight chances, but if they die, they die. Otherwise, they're not afraid of dying, and it's a boring game.
Right, so yeah, I think it's fine, and now I'm really interested because no one's safe in Neverglades, and I want to read it now. The problem with me is that I do not like reading like stuff online. Like usually as a narrator, I try to print it and read it because I like paper. So if I want to read a book, I want the book itself because weirdly, I like the smell of books and like the feel of it. Like when you flip the page, the sound it makes. It's so nice.
That
But
is
then-
100% valid. Not weird at all.
Right? It's a different feel if it's a book. I love books. I've been reading a lot of books, but it's been 4 years since I've read a book. I'm in a country where everything is translated into their language, and those that are left in English, they're very expensive, like very expensive. So I haven't read a book in 4 years. And if I order online, we don't actually have Amazon here. And if I really push for it, like the shipping is crazy. So I don't know.
I'd send you my copies, but they're autographed, so they're special.
No, you don't have to send those. Those are very special. I would not let anyone touch my autograph books. Oh, let's see. Derringer, is it too late to submit a story for the birthday stream? Oh, Derringer, if you're talking about submitting an audio for my mega collab video that's coming out on the 31st, you can, if you do not mind being at like the last parts, because I've already like arranged some of them. So if you're fine with that, then you can go ahead and send the material to my email. It's on the description of the video. Okay. Let's see. So I think I already answered 242's story. Let's look for more. Oh, how about my own questions? So, I think the answer is pretty obvious for Cryptic, but I just want to make sure that does your family know about your writing? And if yes, what do they think about it? I know your wife knows, but how about your family?
That's kind of a mixed bag. Like I said, I'm originally from Maine, and I don't really have much contact with my family. And if they do know that I write, they don't really say much about it. My sister does, and she's usually pretty positive about listening to my narrations. But yeah, my wife's family is totally supportive, and they always
That's
want
really
my
sweet.
story sent to them first, and
Aw.
they're definitely 100% behind me, and I can't thank them enough for that.
Oh, that's really sweet. So, to Cryptic Wander's wife, Lori, you are amazing. And your husband is also an amazing writer. I love his stories. How about you, David? Does your family know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Awesome.
considering I grew up writing these stories like in their house, and they knew what I did. They knew what I love to write, so they've been on board with me from the get-go. And when I finish a story, I'll usually let them read it along with my writing group, so I get a couple different sets of eyes on it, and they're always happy to do so.
That's pretty cool. I think it's really nice if like you have people backing up, especially if it's your family backing up your dreams, your hobbies, your interests, and what. It's really nice.
It's necessary, honestly. I don't have much support other than them and my little writing group, so they really get me, keep me going.
And I can relate. Like my dad supports me a lot. When I started the narration thing a year ago, I was really doubting myself, but my dad like kept pushing, like, hey, you can do this. Like I will pay for your like art so that you would be like the others. Like you have art for your channel. Like I will be a patron so that you have more patrons. So my dad is a patron. So yeah, it feels really nice if you have family supporting it. So 42 has a question for me, which is the same thing. Oh, it's Sheraton's question. Okay, thank you, 42. Why did you choose Miss Creepy Tales as your name? Oh, I think this is related to the question earlier. To be honest, it's just really random. I sat down and tried to think of different keywords to put together. And I wanted to make sure that people know it's a female narrator because we're not that common when it comes to like the narration thing. It's always the males like that dominate this. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that there is representation for females, so I had to put Miss in it. And then creepy so that they know that it's creepy. See, it's very random. And then Tales, like it's stories. Before it was Tabi Tabi Tales. Before I changed it to Miss Creepy Tales. Tabi Tabi is a Filipino word, a phrase that we say when we pass by big trees and like scary places. It's like our way of saying to like the entities, like, hey, excuse me, I'm gonna pass by. Please do not harm me. So if I say I pass by a big tree, so I'm gonna be like tabi tabi po. So I thought it would be unique to name that, but then people are just so confused, like what the hell is tabi tabi tales? And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna change it so that people can relate to what I'm doing. So yeah, that's the story of my
People
name.
are suddenly confused.
They're so confused, like what the hell is tabi tabi?
Almost offended. Makes me laugh.
I love that phrase though. That's such a wonderful phrase.
It's kind of unique. Philippines is a very, and I mean emphasis on the very, like superstitious country. We just have all these superstitions and monsters and whatever. So
I like the vampire bat.
the
The
yeah.
headless thing. It flies around without a head or something. I can't remember.
I think you're talking about the Manananggal. It's
Yeah,
a
that
woman. She's very pretty. She's a normal, perfect woman, and like during daytime, but at night she hunts. So she like separates her body in half. She cuts it in half. She hides the lower half somewhere that other people couldn't find it, and then she flies around at night looking for victims. Her favorite meals would be the babies inside like a pregnant woman's belly. So she has this really long tongue, and she'll just stick that tongue on the belly and like it's like drinking juice, something like that. It just sips the baby out. Yeah, yeah. So that's a common monster there.
Did we ever reach a consensus on how, like, does that leave a mark, or do they go up through the belly button? How does that work?
I have no idea, to be honest. It varies depending on like the stories that people say. They said that it goes up the belly button. Some says that it just pierces the belly. And there's also other weirder versions. I don't want to discuss it, like where the tongue goes, but it sucks the baby out of the belly.
That's another thing I have trouble when I write. I rely heavily on logistics, and if something doesn't make sense, then the rest of the story doesn't get written. So I tried writing a story on that, and it didn't work, and so I had to put it with the other stories that didn't work. There's like a whole story graveyard at my work computer.
Yeah.
MCT, have you seen the show Trace on Netflix?
No, not yet, but I've heard of it, and they said that it's really good.
It's an anime made in the Philippines, and it has a lot of like the superstition and the culture woven into the show. The main character is like a supernatural detective investigating these strange incidents. It's very good.
I should really watch it. It's like things that I can relate to, because when you're a kid in the Philippines, you get traumatized by your parents always telling you about these stuff, like, hey, do not go into the forest at this hour because there are tiyanaks out there. So tiyanaks are little babies. They look very normal and cute, but once you are in their proximity, they will jump on you and they will eat you. So like their eyes turn red and they got this razor sharp teeth and stuff, and they tear you into pieces. So we have those monsters in the Philippines.
I can kind of relate. I mean, like, my story, The Curse of the Seiko River, that's based on a true story, and, you know, every year at least three people go missing or die or whatever, so a lot of people are superstitious about that.
It's true. I think you can...
We have homeless people running around, but...
Yep.
Sorry.
No, it's alright. Okay. Let me see. Oh my god, I am so sorry, chat. I am super late here. I am like at the middle and I am scrolling down. Oh, hi Adam. Who else is here? Hi Josie. Welcome, Josie. So Lori says, don't worry, Mom and Teresa are listening too. That's nice.
Yeah.
Family's
They're
listening.
pretty big fans of my stuff.
That's really good.
question here I'm just going to answer.
Sure.
Sheraton Mortis asks if I have a YouTube channel. I don't, but I tried the narrating thing myself, but I didn't like other than that. I just have my stories in my own personal YouTube that I saved. So I guess if you just type in Cryptic Wander, a bunch of different stories will pop up, or yeah, my Reddit, so I can you can see my stories and stuff there. I don't know.
That's cool. And wait, I think I heard David mention earlier that he has a YouTube channel.
He does.
Technically, yes, I do. I started narrating myself earlier this year. I was basically just taking some of my stories that I had on No Sleep and other places and just reading them, just trying my hand at the whole narration thing. But then I started grad school and it got really hard to keep up with that. So I have not updated it in many, many months. But feel free to give it a follow. I mean, it's the channel that I have in the chat here, the Farrow verse. And hopefully I will get back to doing more of those at some point in the future.
Absolutely. I think that would be really nice. But you've mentioned about your schedule. I think both of you are like working or in school. So what does your schedule look like? Like, how do you give yourself like time to write? Do you write daily or like, what does your schedule look like? Who wants to go
I think
first?
my answer,
Yeah.
I think my answer is a lot shorter. I work in an office for 12 hours every 4 nights, and then I get 4 off, and it's impossible to get anything done at home because I have a 3-year-old terror that loves to be the center of attention. So, yeah, I mean, I see like 2 people every, hour or 2 at work, so I pretty much do all my writing there.
That's nice. At least you have like a silent, like a quiet place where you can concentrate on writing. That's really good.
Yeah, it's definitely a good system. David Farrow probably has it a lot harder.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell him.
Well, I live in a crowded house right now, so lately with being trapped inside for a year and a half, that was hard to get stuff done because I have to find a time of the day when people are not watching television or talking or playing video games or being loud in any sense of the imagination. So lately what I've been doing to find time to write is waking up either really early before anyone else is up and writing in the wee hours of the morning, or waiting until everyone's gone to bed and writing in the wee hours of the night, which is not great for my sleep schedule, but I'm getting the writing done, so I guess you have to look at it on the bright side for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to write if there's like a lot of commotion or a lot of things going on around. I think it's the same thing with my narration too, because I can only narrate at like really weird hours, so probably like 11 p.m. here, 12 a.m., like when everybody's asleep. Or because if I don't, I've had a video before where my friends were laughing at me because I had a chicken in the background just saying hi. So it's we have to like jumble with our schedules and stuff, but it's really cool that you guys can write. So you write daily, am I right or no, or just whenever
I don't
you can?
always. I would like to. That would be the goal.
The goal to write daily. I think that would be awesome. We could get a lot of things done. Wait,
I write every 4 days.
So guys,
Sometimes it's hard.
I'm not sure if I'm missing any questions because the chat stops and then it just goes whoop, up there on my end because I'm using the studio.
Calling me a cryptid in the chat.
I think you got most of the questions. I just sort of answered one. It was more of a comment, but Laura wrote, if you're a writer, all of the narration channels are kind of yours. And like I told her, you'd think, but some of the bigger narrators are hard to get a hold of because there's a lot of competition. And I mean, even if they do notice you, they might not decide to do your story. And, it's just kind of how it happens. So I know a lot of smaller channel narrators that don't have as many views, but I'm hoping that they remember me when they do get up there and, we can continue to collaborate.
I think that's all right. So, guys, again, David and Cryptic have stories available for you guys to read. So David also has a subreddit where he has no sleep stories that you can read on your channels, especially for those friends of mine who are here, who are narrators, and also Cryptic Wonder. Just make sure to ask permission, okay? You can get in contact with them. The links are in the description of the stream again. Even if your channel isn't that big like mine, we are baby channels. But any like, what's the term? Any English is hard, guys. Exposure is helpful.
Oh, yeah.
That's the term.
Yeah.
So
Try to get myself out there as much as possible.
Yes, I think as long as you have that exposure, it grows and builds over time.
Ara, Adam.
Alright. Adam, do not ask.
I don't get it, but yeah.
Do not ask my guests to say weird things. Okay, so guys, sorry if I do not speak that well in English because I am not a native English speaker. I'm a Filipino. English is my third language, so just so you guys know. So I might forget some words and phrases sometimes.
The hell?
Here's a secret. As an English speaker, I forget English words a lot too.
That's good to hear. That makes me more confident.
Your question, Courtney. I didn't even see it.
Oh, Courtney has a question. Okay, I am so sorry, Courtney. There's so many things in the chat. Let me try to look for it. But if you don't mind, can you put it back in the chat? Please? Sorry, dear.
Friggin' Courtney. She's one of my friends from here, so
Oh, that's nice.
I'm allowed to be
I'm
rough
trying
with
to
her.
look for it. Okay, but while we're trying to look for that question from Courtney, how do you come up with your titles of the stories or like books that you've written? Like how do you make titles from it?
Oh, I love titles. Titles are one of my favorite things. I mean, for Neverglade specifically, I think that was just one of those really obvious plays on a popular phrase that I hadn't seen really done before. Like, I mean, can you believe that Neverglades was never done before I turned it into my series? Like, I'm sure some like smaller things did it too, but I was the first one to like make it a franchise, which seems weird to me. So I guess I just kind of lucked out on that one.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, in terms of like individual story titles though, I'm a really big fan of titles that have more than one meaning. So for example, there's a story in Neverglades Volume 2 called Checking Out, which takes place in like a very creepy hotel. And so the title, refers to when you check out of a hotel. Of course, that makes sense. But also it refers to the main character's mental state because she's just experienced something really traumatic in the story before. And so she's kind of checked out. She's left the town. She's gone on like a little vacation to clear her head. So there's two meanings in that one sentence or that one title, which is something I find really fun. I like to do that a lot. But beyond that, I also like to just, pull titles from pop culture, quotes, songs, movies, like things that we like recognize that just kind of feel kind of pithy and catchy. And once I get the right title, I know I've got it and I don't have to think about it anymore. But sometimes I'll just like agonize over a title for a long time before I even like sit down to write the story because I want to get the title right before I get started.
That's amazing. I think that's a very fun part of the process when making a story, the title. But I do have friends, like writer friends, who are like, I hate making the title. I find it amusing that you are really enjoying that part, which is really nice. How about you, Cryptic?
I'm the exact opposite. I hate making titles. It's almost as hard as writing the book. I don't know, I just try to keep it simple and relevant. Like, I just wrote part 6 of my Red Hill series, and in it, the main character, Matt, loses his arm below the elbow, and so I called it, Can You Lend Me a Hand, I try to be funny with my stuff. That's usually how I get to that point.
I think that's nice, too. I think it would take me forever if I tried to make a title. Those are really good. Oops. Just Jasper says, you know what you did, David.
I do know what I did. I'm sorry, Jasper.
Too many questions, Courtney.
Okay, do we find Courtney's question? Okay, here.
Yeah,
it's
sorta.
in it's okay. This is very caps. Okay, Courtney's like, here's my question. What are your long-term and short-term goals? Things coming up that you're excited about? New printing? Do you want to do graphic novels or branch into new media? Go to comic cons and merch, etc. It's a whole paragraph
Well,
of
I'll unpack
questions
it.
there. Go,
Yeah.
Courtney.
Damn it,
Do you want to
Courtney.
start, Paul, or?
I guess.
Fight me.
And my short-term goals is just to get to the next story. Long-term goals, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if I really have any other than wanting to, write my Red Hill series and get that out there. And after that, I have no idea. I'm not much of a goal person.
I think that's all right. At least you still have those like goals in mind, and once you get there, then you can just make new goals. Then, at least you
Yeah.
have right.
Just kind of enjoy the ride and bring all the friends I find along with it.
And that is
The
totally
main
alright.
character.
But I think David already has merch, right? Like I
Oh, yeah.
mentioned merch. Wait, where's the link? Yes, David.
Yes,
go ahead and-
actually.
let me get the
I
link.
have a Redbubble page right now with some great artwork from the fans. I think one of the fans actually in the chat right now. I forget what their username is, but she's one of my students, and she made a really great design for the inspector. Oh yeah, the link's right there. You guys can check that out in the chat. But I have the books and their covers, and then I also have some really great merch. And you can put like the designs on anything you want. I have them on some shirts and stickers and mouse pads and stuff, but you can get it on like magnets or water bottles or coffee cups, like whatever you want. It's really, really neat that you can do that. And I'm always looking for like more people to like commission to get artwork for the store. So if you're an Everglades fan and you've got some cool art that you think would go well on the merchandise, let me know and we can work something out.
That's really cool. I think merch is really cool. I have my own merch, and sometimes getting art for it is like an addiction. Like I don't even care if I'm selling. I just want the art because seeing your own character in like different ways is really cool. I try to get.
It's really incredible.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, it feels so good, and especially if people make fan arts of you. It's like, that they took the time out of their day to make this for me. It's really good. It just warms the heart. It's nice. So
I
guys,
just
yeah.
want to say it was Pink Enigma, who's Ghost Ravioli in the chat. But yes, it was her design that is on my mouse pad and on my sweater, and it's wonderful. I love it.
Nice. So guys, if you want to check out his merch, the link is in the description. Description and also on the chat. I can put it back. I can put it again. Just in case you need a
Yeah, I
new
can
mug or a
Hoodies.
shirt or a
Yeah,
mouse
you can
pad.
get
So, did I miss
No,
any
there's
other
awkward silence
person's
like I do.
question? It's alright. I am very awkward. My audience knows
Tina,
that.
Tina asked the question, what was the original idea that sparked the thought for the Neverglade series?
Yes, go ahead.
So, yeah. For those who aren't familiar with Neverglades, it's a paranormal mystery series that's set in the Pacific Northwest. It's like a sleepy little town called Pacific Glade that everyone calls the Neverglades because it's very quiet and nothing ever happens there. Until it turns out that Pacific Glade itself sits on a rift in reality that makes weird things happen there. And a mysterious inspector comes to town who investigates these weird things that happen, and the inspector himself is not as human as he pretends to be. So he works with the police department in town, a homicide detective named Mark Hannigan, and the sheriff Olivia Marconi, and they investigate the strange goings on happening in Pacific Glade. So where did that come from? So I actually started writing this story as part of a fellowship I had in my college several years ago. I was looking at the rare book library on campus, and I was doing some research into Edgar Allan Poe and Sherlock Holmes, and specifically the way that people had taken their stories and remixed them or adapted them or like reimagined them over time, because those are stories that like everyone knows and everyone's seen different versions of them and how they've been remade. So I was wondering, like, how could I do my own modern versions of Edgar Allan Poe and Sherlock Holmes stories,
So cool.
and bring my own take to them. And so the Neverglades was kind of my way of mashing those two things together, like the detective story of Sherlock Holmes with the darkness and madness of Poe. And I even threw a little bit of like H.P. Lovecraft in there with some of the cosmic monsters and such. So the Inspector is basically the Sherlock Holmes character. So if you've read the stories, you know he's larger than life. He's literally 7 feet tall. But also beyond that, he just kind of he doesn't feel human. He has like a sense of being bigger than humankind. But Mark is like the Watson character. He's like the normal man who is by his side, who's doing his best to keep up with everything that's going on. And really, it's just taking that Watson-Sherlock dynamic and throwing monsters in there and making it more supernatural and more contemporary. So yes, that's a long answer for it came from Sherlock and Poe.
No, that was a really good explanation. I love it. I like the whole idea of it. Oh, there's someone who likes your voice. David has a nice voice.
Oh,
There's a lot of people that like it.
I think it's really nice too. You should really, like, when you're free, you should really go back to like narrations and stuff.
Well, thank you. That's really kind of you guys. I hate how I sound on recordings, but I think that's just kind of how we all are to some extent, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're very well spoken, so I think your narrations are pretty top notch.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's all right.
I did that so much.
In the narration community, I think I only know one person who loves the way they sound. Everybody's just like, I hate it. I hate the way I sound. Like editing is
because it never matches what we
pain.
hear when we speak out loud, right? It's always different when it's over recording.
It is. So I have a couple of people who are like, I don't want to go through narrations because I hate how I sound. Like, hey, everybody hates how they sound. Don't worry about it.
I try to avoid using the intercom at work.
I've been narrating for more than a year and I still hate how I sound. And I fall asleep during editing every single time. So you do have an audience, like both of you. You have people who narrate your stuff, you have people who read your books, but of course we can't really please everybody. So there are a couple of people who wouldn't like it. So how do you deal with the criticism you get, if you've ever had any? Like the poor reviews people give about your stories or your book or your work.
That's probably the hardest lesson for any writer to learn how to deal with, because your work's not going to touch everybody, somebody's not going to like it, and it's okay, it happens. And your first instinct is to defend your work, but really what you should do is learn from that and understand it and accept it.
That is true.
David?
Yeah. For me, I think it's important to remember that, like what Cryptic was saying, not every person is going to be the right audience for your story, and that's totally fine. You can't please everybody, so you shouldn't try to. And I think when it comes to those sorts of comments, it's just good to look at them and think, is this person my target audience? If so, do I particularly care if I didn't reach them the way that they wanted to be reached? And maybe that's fine if that didn't happen, So you really have to think about what you do value in terms of feedback and what you can let go of. And there's some people who are like clearly just being malicious and didn't actively like read your story very well, or they are just trying to get a rise out of you. And those are just trolls. You don't have to give them the time of day. And then there's some people who maybe like the reason they didn't like it was because they were expecting something different than what they got. I've seen that a few times on some of the book reviews for Neverglades, where they're like, I thought this was going to be this, but it was actually like a bunch of short stories that were connected. I thought it was going to be a novel, and that I gave it like a lower rating for that. And I'm like, okay, I can understand that you didn't get what you thought you signed up for, but at the same time, they're not looking at what the book was as a whole. They were looking at what they wanted it to be. So another question to ask is, does their review, is it their expectations that are the problem, or is it the story itself that's the problem?
Going back to your class, David, a I think that's one of the things that I got out of it was accepting criticism, because it was hard to, write my first draft and send it to you and be like, well, no, you can't do this. This is wrong. That's wrong. But
less that it's wrong, and more just that like what you're doing here isn't giving your story like the legs it needs, right?
Yeah, I'm bad at describing things, but yeah, I mean, after I kind of dropped the defense part of it, I was like, okay, this is very good advice.
I think we're all defensive of our work. We put so much time into it and so much energy, and we want it to be perfect, but it never is, and that's the secret, right? We have to accept that we need to have beta readers. We need to have people who are going to give us feedback and be honest in a way that's helpful. Some people are honest in ways that are hurtful, and that's not good at all. So you want to find your writers, your readers, who are going to give you the best feedback.
Absolutely.
That's actually pretty good advice out there. And it doesn't only apply for those who are writers, it also applies for those who are narrators, who are like in the chat right now, or those who are listening, because we also get some, negative feedback. So I think people, not everyone would, like your work, but there are some that give really good constructive criticism that you have to, take note of, learn from it. But not all of the bad feedback or like negative feedback is constructive or helpful. Sometimes you have to like check which one is just like trolling you or trying to hurt your feelings because they have so much free time in their parents' basement. So, that happens sometimes.
Absolutely.
Let me see. David's spitting facts. That's so right. DMC, he's spitting facts, and those were like really good ones. Take it in, guys. Take it in.
See, my buddy Chris is here. Throw him in a river.
I was about to mention that. That was really good. So what do? Toss them in the nearest river. Okay, let's see. Oh, there's another question here from Courtney. I'm going to make sure to read Courtney's questions now. Paul, have you ever read Awake in the Nightlands?
I haven't, but I'm always open to new stuff, so I can give it a look, I guess.
Okay, so take note of that. Awake in the Nightlands by John C. Wright.
She won't let me forget.
Chatter has a question. Which of your stories would you love to see adapted to a short film or series?
Oh man. So I have had dreams of a Neverglades TV adaptation for the longest time.
So cool.
I literally have made like my own imaginary like opening credits where I cast all the characters and pull music in backgrounds and things like that, and it's a little embarrassing, but I had fun with it.
That's
you had sort of a short opening, didn't you?
What was that?
You had sort of a short opening, didn't you?
Yeah, I made that with some like just some online software, just for fun, not because it's actually in development or anything. I would love for it to actually be in development.
It was really good.
It's amazing what you can do with like just free like tools online and zero experience in graphic design.
Right?
I think that would make a great series.
I would love it. I mean, Doug Jones is my personal dreamcast for the Inspector. He was, in The Shape of Water. He was
yes,
in Hellboy and Pan's Labyrinth. Like, he always plays like the cool, tall, thin monster guy. And I feel like the Inspector would probably be like the most normal character of his, despite being 7 feet tall with gray skin and purple eyes. But I would love to see him have like a main character sort of role like that.
That would be really cool. Well, we don't know. Maybe that would happen one day, You never know.
You never know.
Sure.
And how about you? Which story have you written? Are you like you want to be like in a short film or something? Cryptic.
Probably the Red Hill series that I'm working on. It's kind of my baby, I write short stories here and there, but this is what I always come back to, and it's a real place, and it's involving real people. I mean, obviously there's not ghouls running around, but it's a very special thing to me, and it gives me a lot of joy to kind of share that magic with the world. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of got like a Tucker and Dale / supernatural feel to it. So it'd be all right, I think.
I think it would be nice. I really have to look at David Farrow's other stories now. But since I haven't read his stories yet, and so far I've read Cryptic Wonder stories, I think one story that you have that I really want to be in a short film or something would be The End of Infinity. I think that would be really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people comment that it has a Twilight Zone feel to it, and I agree. And
The end of the world
know,
thingy. And then I think the setting would just be really cool.
well, I've had a lot of people tell me how heartbreaking and, gut-wrenching it is, and I think anything like that could make a decent show or movie or something,
Right? That would be awesome. Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear me. My throat is drying up. Like, let me get a sippy sip. Sippy sip time, guys. So for those who don't know, sippy sip is when we just drink. Drink water. Sippy sip.
Everybody sippy sip.
Sippy sip. Okay, sippy sip done. So anybody else have any questions and stuff for both of these amazing people here? I see a lot of you people here. There's a lot of, like, a very good audience, and everybody's giving out amazing questions and being very supportive. So thank you to everyone who's here. You guys are really good.
Yeah,
I
Midnight
like this
Chill.
audience.
He's currently doing the Red Hill series. The most important thing is to enjoy your own work, which is, probably the truest thing out of everything.
Absolutely. Gotta stay hydrated. Everybody's like sippy sip on the on the chat. Okay, sippy sip, guys. Sippy sip. Gotta stay hydrated. This chat is nice. By the way, who is your favorite author? Like, both of you are writers and authors, but who's your favorite?
Well, for me, it's kind of a two-parter. I really love Simon Clarke's work. He deals with a lot of apocalyptic stories, zombie stories, stuff like that. And the way he writes his characters is really on point. And, that's another thing I have trouble with is dialogue and making things flow correctly. So it's a good source of inspiration, but I always have, David Farrow's books right next to me while I'm writing, so I can kind of use that to reference how to do things.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so I'd say those two.
Oh, that's nice. A fan.
I am honored.
Me too. And you, David?
Well, if we're going by just the amount of space he takes up on my bookshelf, I guess I'd probably have to say Stephen King for this one.
Oh.
That's also a little unfair because the guy's published like 60 plus books. But I mean, like, to be serious though, like, he is a big inspiration of mine because he is all about the storytelling. Like, obviously he's very successful. He's made a lot of money from his writing, but he doesn't do it for the money. He does it because storytelling is in his blood. And if you've read his book on writing, which is like a memoir of the craft of writing, it's a wonderful, wonderful read. It's like he's talking to you directly, and it just makes writing feel so easy and approachable with some great advice. I would love to meet him someday and just say hello, like let him know how much he's inspired my work. But beyond that, I mean, I do enjoy a lot of other writers, both in horror and out of horror. I think Paul Tremblay is really amazing. He's doing some really great things. He wrote A Head Full of Ghosts in the Cabin at the End of the World. And in terms of non-horror stuff, I really love David Mitchell. I don't know if anyone's heard of him, but he wrote Cloud Atlas, which was made into a movie by the Wachowskis. And it's basically like his stuff is all very metafictional and genre hopping and experimental. And I love that sort of thing, stuff that breaks the rules of writing, so to speak.
Those are really good writers. I think I would like to meet Stephen King also in the future. If I had the books that you have, I would probably bring all of them, be like, put it in front of him, like, hey, I'm a big fan. Can you sign all of this, please?
Got a mix on him, but I come from Maine, so it's a personal thing.
His son is very good too, Joe Hill.
Oh, I haven't really heard of that. Wait, let me see. Everybody just sipping. Brit's like, sippy sip makes my alcoholism sound less problematic. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, so Chatter has a question. Do you have a story that's heavily inspired by something that happened to you? I think Cryptic has a one. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Most of my stuff is purely fiction, but I did have a story once that I wrote called The Lady in Black, which was based on an experience that did happen to me and some of my friends from like summer camp. We were visiting an island off the coast of Boston Harbor, and we were walking down this dark tunnel to get to the courtyard of this fort, and we saw a woman's face appear in front of us in like a little ball of light, and we were very confused by it. And then the light went out, we kept walking, and there was no one with us in our group who was like an older woman, because we were all like boys of a certain age, right? Mm-hmm. And there was no woman in our group, and we didn't bump into her. She didn't leave before us. We have no idea who she was. And so I wrote a little story about that, and it turned out that later on, there was a whole legend on that island about how there was a woman who had like tried to rescue her husband from inside the war fort and had accidentally gotten him killed, and she was like hanged for treason, and her ghost was supposed to haunt the island, and they called her the Lady in Black. And I recently found out, like within the last couple of months, that story is complete BS and is just made up for sensationalism. So I now have no idea what I saw, but I did see something. So I'm still trying to rationalize, I guess, what happened on that island that one day. And I guess storytelling is how we can rationalize things in a certain way.
That's pretty cool and creepy at the same time. I would lose my mind. I am into horror, but if I see anything, I would lose it. Ugh.
I don't believe in ghosts, but I'm scared of them.
How about you, Cryptic? Have you written? I think you have.
Curse of the Seiko River.
Yeah, that one.
I mean, like I said before, it's a well-known story, but my personal experience with it was way too real. And you just have to go read it.
Yes. If you guys want to listen to that story that he's talking about, I narrated it on my channel. It's The Curse of the Seiko River. Adam, I don't know if Adam is here, but can you put the link in? Because I'm trying to look for Cryptic Wonder's channel and David Farrow's channel, but why am I not able to pull it up? Because I want to put it on like the links here, because somebody's asking for it.
My channel is the Farrow verse. It's a little different than my name.
I have a channel.
Like where you'll save all the story. Okay, I found the Farrow verse. Okay, perfect. Okay, so for David Farrow, this is the link to his channel. He will update it in the future when he has time, but he does have a couple of videos there already that you can listen to. Okay, the song was playing. Okay, and then let me look for Cryptic Wonder. So somebody's asking, do you have a channel with your stories read by different narrators? And I'm pretty sure you have, right? Like you save them
really
there?
Have a channel. I have a personal thing, and I've had people try to look it up and not be able to find it. I'm not good with computers, so I don't know how all that works.
Oh, okay, I see. That's all right. So, Lynn, Cryptic Wonder has a couple of stories narrated on my channel. Also, Midnight Chills, who's in the chat right now, narrated a couple of his stories. A Clock Strikes 3, also.
Yeah, there's really too many to count.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's 61.
Okay, thank you, Adam, for the link. I appreciate you. Okay, so let's see if
you're looking for my stuff. The best one to check out is Mr. Creepypasta's narrations. He has a playlist for Alvin Everglade stories so far.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's how I found you.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, check out Mr. Creepypasta, guys. I think the narration community knows that guy very well. He's very famous.
No, I mean a lot of my stories are also inspired from dreams that I've had. I'll have to come back again and tell you all about that, but I'm definitely not a normal person in that aspect, so...
It is alright.
Lot of-
Who wants to
lot
be
of fear
normal anyway? Normal is overrated.
Kinda.
Weird is cool. Sorry, coming from someone in the horror community, we always go with weird is cool and fine. We don't want to be normal. We want to be weird. Okay, so all throughout our conversation, like on this stream, we've learned a lot of things about writing, like the processes, that it's not really that easy. It can be emotionally draining and stressful sometimes. So, do you guys have any tips for aspiring writers? Since you both like have a lot of experience with it.
I guess
Always
I'd say,
accepting.
you know...
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
Who wants to go
I was
first?
gonna- Always accept
You
that
go.
you can do better. Learn where you can, and don't expect to be famous overnight,
That is
or even
true.
at all, really. I mean, if it happens, great, but, you know, it's... Just love what you do.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. And to echo something that Cryptic said earlier, you know, write for you, first and foremost. Write for you, because you've got a story in you, or many stories, a lot of us have many stories, that are just needing to be told, and you are the one to tell them. And that's a big thing, that's an exciting thing, but it also shouldn't be a scary thing unless you make it a scary thing, right? So writing should be fun to an extent. It should be joy, it should be play, it should be exploration. If it ever gets to a point where it's not those things, if it's just more stress than it's worth, then take a break. The writing will always be there for you when you come back to it. It's never something that goes away forever. So don't push yourself too hard if you're not having fun, and don't feel like you're obligated to finish something if it's not working for you. Go where your muse takes you, and just, you know, write what brings you joy.
that's really good advice. I like how both of you are just spitting out really good advice for everybody right now. So those friends of mine on the chat, or who are just listening, lurking there, take note of what they said. Write for you. You know, don't worry about the numbers too much, or like, yeah, I didn't get too much upvotes in this. It could be a bad story or whatnot. You know, just learn to enjoy. And if you need to take a break, then take that break. Okay? Don't stress yourself out too much, or you will lose your joy in writing. And it's not really a good thing, is it? So, are you working on anything at present that you would like to share with us? You know, projects that you're doing right now, projects you will have in the future, anything you'd like to tell us? David, you want to go first?
Sure. So for my grad school program right now, I've taken a little bit of a hiatus from like straightforward horror stuff, and I'm writing stuff that's more of, I guess, what we call speculative fiction, which is like, you know, the sci-fi fantasy horror umbrella, but with a little more of like a literary focus too. And I'm writing stuff themed around liminal spaces. So people who you know, occupy the fringes of the world, who don't always get their stories told. And I'm also, like, of interest to me personally, I like to incorporate a lot of queer representation and queer narratives in these stories too. So basically working on a collection of queer, liminal, speculative stories for school right now. And then I may be revisiting the world of the Neverglades, which I think will make some people very excited. I am trying to do National Novel Writing Month this year. We'll see if I succeed, but if I do, I may work on something set in the Neverglades universe, and I would love for that to work out so I can share that with you guys pretty soon.
Those sounds like really good projects. And Neverglade fans, I bet you're excited right now. You mentioned revisiting it, so I think they're gonna be very happy about it. How about you, Cryptic? Anything projects you're doing right now, in the future?
Well, right now I'm focusing on the Red Hill series.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm gonna do 3 volumes of 10,
Oh.
And I just finished the 6th one, and the next 3 are practically written. I write them with my buddy Chris, that's in the chat there. And so that'll probably be done soon. And after that, I'll probably go back to doing one-shots.
Ooh. I think the people are really liking both of you guys, so they're really happy. Like Seven here. Seven said that listening to you, like both of you, has made Seven want to write. So it's like you're inspiring people right now, guys. This is great.
That's awesome.
I'm really glad.
Love that.
Everybody's getting more comfortable. These are nice. Wait, is Lady Spokaria here? I don't see her. Hi Zelda, welcome. And I think Ghost Ravioli is getting really excited right now with all the hearts, hearing that David's going back to the Neverglade series, opening it up again.
Got another question here from Courtney, better answer that.
Why do I never see Courtney's questions? Please.
Do either of you watch Yamishi by
Yamishi
Japanese? Yeah, I'll let you. I don't know what that is. If yes, do you like those stories? I think East and Southeast Asian horror is so unique compared to Western horror.
Oh, okay. So Courtney is asking if we've seen, if you've seen Yamishibai. So I've seen Yamishibai. It's a like a 2 to 3 minute horror story. It's like anime if you check it out. It's like anime with a different type of art, and it shows different horror stories in every episode. It's actually really good. You guys should check it out. Yeah, you guys should check it out. Yamishibai. And the art is kind of different though than the normal anime that you see. It's made out of paper. So it's just like paper. The characters are made out of paper and they're just moving the paper around. But it's kind of awkward if it's your first time seeing it, but it does add to like the creep factor to it. That's nice. So yeah, guys, check out Yamishibai. It's nice.
Pretty cool.
I love that sort of stuff. I love like little anthologies that open my mind to different sort of storytelling from around the world. That stuff is so cool.
I think
Anthologies are like my favorite.
yes, those are really good. Wait, we have
Actually, I just wrote
Yamishibai. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I just wrote a Halloween anthology for the Red Hill series that I think people would get a kick out of. It's not really canon and connected with the rest of the series, so it doesn't have a bunch of stuff you need to know to enjoy it.
Yep, and I think I will be narrating that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of like the things I haven't planned for this month. And it's amazing, guys, it's already the 22nd. October just flew by really fast, and like what happened? It's been a very busy month for like the horror community. So I don't know. It's just really fast. So anybody else in the chat who has any questions for both of these amazing people? Anyone else? Because if not, then I would give them time to plug their, work and stuff where you can like check their stories out, where you can purchase their things or their books. So
There's another one here from Sheraton Mortis.
oh, okay. Go ahead.
Which themes inside a horror story do you believe are worth adding a trigger warning for? Well, I would say torture porn, and I don't know, I guess that's about it.
Yeah, content warnings are interesting, especially when it comes to horror, because I think when you are entering a horror story, you're entering with the expectation that you are going to be unsettled and maybe even triggered in some way. But I do think that, some things that are very extreme, I don't really want to like name them on the stream in case it would be triggering to some people, but some stuff that like no matter who you are, you would read about it and you get a visceral reaction to that sort of thing. I think that probably is deserving of the content warning. Yeah. Some stuff is very much just like for shock value, and it's less horror than it is just disturbing, and I think that a really skilled writer can navigate that area without resorting to like cheap shock factor stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I just wrote a story that I won't say what it has in it, but I made sure to put a trigger warning just in case. And some their narrators have said that they can't do it for their channel. Some have. It's kind of a mixed bag.
I'm actually a mix of that too, because in my opinion, like as what David mentioned earlier, if you say horror, like the readers or listeners already have that mindset that they're gonna feel uncomfortable in some way, right? So it's probably lots of different things going on in the story. But then again, for those who are a bit let's say sensitive to some topics, I think it would be nice to just put it out there, like, hey, this story has this. If you feel really uncomfortable about that, then yeah, I suggest you kind of avoid this story. Because that's a big thing right now, like putting trigger warnings and whatnot in the community. And it's fine.
Real easy to get canceled.
Yeah. I just remembered you watched who was that famous comedy ventriloquist?
Yeah. I can't remember now.
Oh, who was that guy? The one who was
The
Ahmed.
guy with the puppets.
Oh no!
That's Jeff Dunham, right?
Yes.
Jeff Dunham,
Yes.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, he had a whole skit about that.
So Ahmed has this famous tagline, and then he changed it into "I cancel you" instead of the original one. I find that hilarious. Anybody else who has any questions for these two? So Courtney's going. Bye, Courtney. Thank you
Later,
for
Courtney.
coming.
Sheridan Mortis asked the question. I think it was answered in the chat, but I would just want to say it out loud in
Sure.
case anyone was wondering. What's the difference between a series and an anthology? So series are stories that are linked. So you can think of like episodes of a TV show where there's continuity from one story to the next. And the stories themselves may have like self-contained arcs, but they have a larger story arc that connects them all. Whereas an anthology is stories that may be similar in relation to like themes that they have, but the characters don't cross over, and there isn't like a continuity that you have to keep track of. You can do each individual story on its own.
That's great. Thank you for answering that. I actually had a little idea about it, but I wasn't really sure. Thank you for clarifying it. And by the way, bye chatter. I gotta hop out. MCT, bring more writers into the space. Yes, I'm actually planning on, doing this more. Not just having narrators on my streams, but also inviting writers. Because I think that they equally deserve the attention and the recognition. So maybe in the future, I will have a couple like other writers that I would invite. But I would definitely love to have David Farrow and Cryptic Wonder again in the future whenever there's, schedules work and whatnot. If that's all right, I'm putting you guys on the spot. Ha ha ha.
Oh, yeah.
It's been wonderful. I'll definitely come back. Yeah.
Because this has been, I was very nervous at first because I'm usually just playing around, laughing and talking about weird stuff with my audience. But today, this stream has been it has been very good. I've been learning a lot of things. I'm getting a lot of tips and stuff from you. And I think the chat can testify to that too, that they're really enjoying this and learning a lot. So yeah, we would love to have you guys back in the future. Wait,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, I gotta say, it wasn't as awkward as I thought it would be. I mean, it's always gonna be awkward, but I had a good time.
Yeah, this was so much fun.
That's good. So bye chatter. Okay, so anything that both of you want to like plug, want to advertise or mention to your supporters or to the people in the chat. David, you want to go first?
Sure. So I have 4 books available on Amazon and other ebook sites if you guys are interested in picking up either ebook or physical versions of the Neverglades and then the spin-offs. So those can all be found on my website, which is davidfarrowwrites.com. Just check the books tab and there's links to the different venues that you can get the books from. And on top of that, there's also, I'm running a contest right now which you may be a little late for you guys to enter because it's almost over and you might be new to the series, but I'm doing a like multiverse contest in the vein of the Marvel What If show, where people are reimagining how Neverglades could have gone differently in like a different universe maybe. So people can write stories or do art for that, where they just reimagine what the plot of Neverglades could have been like in a fun new way. And so Halloween is the deadline for that, but if anyone is interested and wants to submit to that sort of thing, I may consider extending the deadline just to see if people want to submit more stuff.
That's really cool. And by the way, guys, I put in the link of his author website on the chat. Check it out. If you missed the link by any chance, it's, again, description of the stream. You can go and check it out. How about you, Cryptic Wonder?
I mean, it's all pretty much out there. You go to my Reddit, you'll find everything I have, and you type in Cryptic Wander and YouTube, you'll find most of my stories, and thanks to Laura Applewood, I think I got my list on private, so you should be able to find that, I guess.
Okay, that's
I'll
perfect.
post that again.
You can go ahead and send me the link, and I can put it in the chat. I put in your Reddit page on the chat too. So guys, all of their links are here. Check both of them out. For seven Nightfall stories. Okay, so not really a question, but just an appreciation for Cryptic and David and all the other writers that make our narration jobs possible. That is true. We appreciate all of them. Okay,
That
got it.
might not be the right link.
If anybody wants to check out the playlist that has all the stories that Cryptic Wonder has written, being narrated by different narrators, here is the link.
Does that work?
I'm not sure. I can't open it. So guys, let me know if it works or not. And if you want to connect with David Farrow on Facebook, here is his link. That's the Facebook link. If you're not really a Facebook person and prefers Instagram instead, no worries. We've got that covered too. That's his Instagram. And if you want to check out his Reddit, especially those narrators out here, here is his Reddit link. And if you want some merch, you know, get a new mug, a shirt maybe, or maybe a mouse pad. Here is for his merch. So share it, and the link for Cryptic Wonder is not working. It's not working.
I didn't think it would. Really know how to do that.
We're gonna try to fix that, Sheraton, but don't worry. If you go on YouTube and you actually try to type Cryptic Wonder, some narrations actually pop out or come out. So I think that would work too. We're gonna try and fix that and update stuff. But thank you for letting us know. We appreciate it.
Playlist.
So anybody
Okay.
else here who has any questions? Dun dun dun. Has any questions for them?
Sure.
I was also going to just add one more thing to
Sure.
plug. If anyone wants to join the Neverglades Discord server, I did mention that at the beginning, but that is not a link that is listed here. You can message me on any of my social media sites, and I will get back to you with that link. It's a pretty cool community. Everyone's very nice and friendly. We always are looking forward to meeting new people.
Yes, I'm not posting the link for the server, guys, because I don't want anybody to like go there and spam his server. So in case you're interested, then just like send him a message in either of those that I put there. Wait, let me see. I have another link from Cryptic. Let me try this one. Sheraton, you can try this one. A new link that I put in. Lynn says, to all writers, thank you for writing great stories so that narrators can read them so I can sleep. That's very sweet, Lynn. That's really
Damn it,
nice.
Paul. Chris.
Damn it, Paul. Okay, no questions? Because I promised these two that I will only hold them hostage for an hour and 30 minutes. But I have extended for 30 minutes more. And I need to put this dagger down. I am
One more
holding-
thing I gotta do. I told my friend Stoic, teacher John Stoic, Dream Venture, that I'd give him a shout out, and his story, I think I inherited a fallen angel, is really good. It's a series, and you guys should check that out too. There, I did my good deed.
I don't know how to get in contact with John. I would like to put in his link here, but yeah, I don't think there's any way he can send me his link. But yeah, guys, check out Stoic. He is also a writer like Paul, Cryptic, right? And he has a really good story entitled, Fallen.
I think I inherited a fallen angel.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm very bad. I'm so bad at this. Okay, so anything else you would like to add, guys? No? Yes? Any questions? Don't worry. We will have them again in the future. I know you love both of them a lot and you've enjoyed this time, but it's nighttime and they need rest.
My favorite food, pizza.
Favorite food, pizza. Tea or
Dude,
coffee?
I'm gonna have to agree with that.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Coffee.
I'm a chai tea guy. I cannot drink coffee.
I'm addicted to caffeine. I have a problem.
Shower or bath? Just
Shower.
morning
I prefer
person.
baths, but I can't fit in them anymore.
Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Neither.
Oh my god.
Social media or book? I think the answer is obvious.
Book.
Book, obviously. Okay, I'm just
reading
giving you
online
random
or-
questions. Would you rather be in a room full of snakes or a room full of spiders?
Oh god. Well, I
Spiders.
can at least step on the spiders.
I hate snakes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know how I hate snakes. I live in a
Yeah.
place where I am just surrounded by snakes.
Losing legs, that's not okay.
I gotta move sometime. Okay, so I don't think the chat has any more question. Lori, Cryptic's favorite food is pizza.
Yeah, she knows me.
Sheraton says, you guys are awesome. Thank you for everything. Please go to rest and take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Thank you, Sheraton. That's very sweet.
Thank you so much.
Spiders are way
appreciate
easier
all
to
you.
squish. Do not squish. I like spiders.
Yeah.
Look, the reaction, like, yeah. Okay, so everybody, thank you so much for your time. For those who are in the chat, who were active the whole time, the fans of David Farrow, thank you for coming and joining us. Family and fans of Cryptic Wonder, thank you for joining us. And my regular people who are always there during my streams, thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope to see you again in future streams, and especially when I have these two amazing people back on stream. Okay? So thank you so much for your time, guys, and for being just a wonderful group of people here on this stream.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you also.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much for being on this stream. We have been pushing this stream for so long, and it finally happened. And despite David's not feeling that his best, and Cryptic is also kind of busy, but you still gave time to join this stream. I appreciate both of you. Thank you. Anything
Yeah,
else
no
you would
problem.
like to say to the audience?
Keep on reading and writing. Stay awesome.
Perfect. Cryptic?
I'm not good at these. I appreciate the support, and I definitely agree with Midnight Chills. That is the exact pizza I always get, mushroom and spinach. So, good time.
Okay,
Love you,
great.
Lori.
Yes. Very supportive wife. Very good. Okay, so thank you, everyone. And I hope you continue to support us. Check out their writings, check out their books, merch, everything. And if you have time, you can also play my videos on your background. Listen to my videos. Stay scared, guys, because your fear feeds me.